Hello everyone, my name is Jan Francis Daniel Ligna. I'm an alumna of Manuel G. Araullo High School and as well as the former president of the Supreme Student Government. And today I'm going to share to you the things that I know and I have research about distance learning and how can we achieve success as a distance learning student. And just a heads up, I'm not an expert on distance learning because this is also my first time to encounter online classes or distance learning, and I tried my best. I have tried my best to share to you these tips that I have gathered while I'm researching about it. So I hope that you will apply these tips and learn something from this video. Thank you so much. Let's start. So first, let's define what is distance learning. Merriam-Webster defines distance learning as a method of study where teachers and students do not meet in a classroom but use the internet, email, mail, etc. to have classes. So simply put, distance learning is when students are separated from teachers and peers. This means that us students learn remotely and do not have face-to-face learning with our teachers or professors and other students. So that's for distance learning. Now that we have learned the definition of distance learning, let us now learn the difference between online learning and distance learning. So actually there is a hairline difference or just minimal difference between the two, but let's tackle it and let's try to understand their difference in terms of location, interaction, and intention. So first is the location. Let's read the definition. Online learning can include the use of online tools and platforms while still being in a regular classroom setting. Distance learning, however, is remote and does not include any face-to-face interaction between student and teacher. So, to put it simply, sa online learning, possible na magkaroon tayo ng face-to-face classroom setting or regular classroom setting, but in distance learning, it is really remote and hindi na possible yung face-to-face interaction between the student and the teacher. Simple as that. Next is, in online learning, as we have seen through the definition on location, it can include interaction with teachers and peers, whereas distance learning does not have in-person interactions. So later on, we're gonna find out how come there are no in-person interactions in distance learning. And we're gonna find out in the definition of intention and how do they differ. So when it comes to intention, online learning can be used as a supplement for teachers in their courses. So it's just a supplement, or it can be an aid or help. While distance learning replaces teachers with instruction that is preset on the learning platform. This is an important point in the difference between online learning and distance learning, because I'm gonna set an example on what I heard and also learned about how the Pasig City is gonna do their distance learning or online learning or online classes. So yung, how do I say this, yung fiancé ng cousin ko, his mom is a teacher in Pasig, and what they did was they provided the teachers tablets wherein they are going to download their modules, the activities, exercises that they need the students to answer. And yung ginawa nila, yun nga, i-upload nila dun sa tablet or that gadget, and then they're gonna lend the gadget to the students. And mind you, those are elementary students pa ha. They are the teacher that I'm talking about na parent ng fiancé ng cousin ko, o di ba haba, is yun nga, elementary teacher siya. So what happened or what will happen to them, they're already meeting up for it, and they're already arranging how they're gonna do it. So, yun nga, yung ginagawa nila is they're gonna download those activities, the exercises that they need, and the module that the students can read, para kahit wala silang wifi or wala silang gadget, wala silang internet sa bahay, they can still do and learn while on on the gadget, and maybe at the end of the week or at the end of the month, they're gonna submit it again to the teacher. I don't know how they're gonna do it, pero yun yung mangyayari. They're gonna submit it to the teacher. The teacher is gonna check yung mga ginawa nila, and then remove that, and then download ulit ng bago. So that's how they're going to do it, as far as what I know. So yeah, that's how distance learning and online learning can be different from each other. So in distance learning, it's possible that they can have preset learning platform on a gadget and then lend it to the students. So I think this is a good example of how distance learning works, although not everybody or not everyone can adapt to it, but let's see how this will work in some areas or cities of our country. So that's it for the difference of the distance learning and online learning. Next is we're gonna discuss about the types of distance learning, but we're not gonna delve into it. We're just gonna have pahapyaw lang na definitions na there are actually different types of distance learning, and maybe of course we're gonna do hybrid or mixed types of distance learning just to test kung ano yung pwedeng gawin natin sa country natin in terms of education. So there are 4 types of distance learning according to what I have researched from different resources. And these 4 types are online courses, hybrid courses, conference classes, and correspondence courses. So I'm just gonna share to you and read the definition and onting explanation lang, just so we would know if by the time that we practice it or by the time na gagamitin na natin siya, we should know, ay, nagko-conference classes pala kami ngayon, ay, hybrid courses siguro to. So we will just know, okay? So online courses are usually offered as additional courses or classes in traditional degrees. So as long as students can have a computer and internet access, they can learn and receive instruction at home. So in online courses, these are possible sa mga dati na siguro nagdi-distance learning. They use the online courses. Like for example, the students cannot go to school, but they have their internet and they have their laptops, gadgets, phones that they can use for learning. Yun yung ginagawa nila na they can have online courses. Next is the hybrid courses. So hybrid courses combine traditional classroom settings with online learning at home. This can mean that the students can learn individually at home and meet up for in-person instructions or lectures at certain intervals during the course. So these hybrid courses can be also called mixed courses, mixed online learning, because yun nga, you can meet up in person, or it's a mixed process of meeting up face to face in traditional classroom settings as well as doing online learning. But I think of course that's why we are going to adopt to distance learning kasi hindi nga tayo makakapunta sa school considering our situation right now because of the pandemic. Okay, so next is the conference classes. So in conference classes, conferencing allows students and teachers to meet up for class in real time, whether in a group or one-on-one with an instructor. So using the phone or video chatting, such as Skype, that was before, but now we have Zoom, Google Meet, and I haven't had experiences with other video conferencing apps, but in this way, this type of distance learning, students and teachers can engage in live lessons despite the distance. So, ayun, yung possible na maging distance learning platform can be conference classes, yun nga. Because you can have real time, yun nga. Sabay-sabay kayo nag-video chat with your classmates and your teacher or your professor, na while he or she is discussing the lesson, you are listening there, you are also showing your face na nakikinig kayo, na dapat nga nakikinig dapat kayo. Hindi yung you're just present but mentally absent. Okay? So, that's what will happen in conference classes. And I think na if possible and if the students can have the internet connection, this is a good way for teachers to discuss the lessons para yun nga, nakikita nila na yung mga students present sila and nakikinig. Okay, next is the corresponding classes. I said correspondence classes. It should be correspondence courses. Ayun, nakakalito. But correspondence courses consist of students engaging in class material via mail or email. Students receive material and assignments through mail, and they send completed assignments back through the same method. So, in this correspondence course or courses, yung nangyayari is the teacher will email to you mga kailangan nyong gawin. Like, for example, it is a class activity na, ayan, gagawa kayo ng essay or answeran nyo to, ganito, ganyan. That is a type of correspondence courses. And after you are done with it, you are going to submit it back through the same way. Mag-i-email nyo rin. And this can happen. And a concrete example of how this happened is through Google Classroom. Sa Google Classroom, meron dun yung teacher nyo, pwede silang mag-send doon na, eto, may assignment kayo, and then you can click that, and then you're gonna answer, and then submit it again, and then you can mark it as done, or you have submitted it. Yun. So, nangyari na yan sa amin, nagawa na namin yan. So, it's also possible. So, that's it for the types of distance learning, and I hope naliwanagan tayong lahat. And I know it can be very technical, yun nga, na there are actually different types of distance learning, but I know that our curriculum or our authorities or higher ups are going to do their best to provide for us and see what works, kung ano man yung pwedeng gawin natin para the learning for the students will still be continuous. And now, we're down to the very core of this video. O, diba, intro pa lang yung kanina. But this is the real thing. The 7D or the 7 distance learning tips for the students. Like us, like you and me. Let's go! Number 1, set a fixed time to engage in the coursework. So, assignments can be put off or forgotten a lot easier in a distance learning course, and being organized and self-disciplined is a necessity. So, for those who have never taken distance learning courses, of course like us, kasi nga first time natin, we may find it difficult to engage without being directed to do so by an instructor in person. Diba? It's parang, if we, diba, sabi nga sa definition, assignments can be put off or forgotten a lot easier in a distance learning course. Kasi we are already in our houses, and if we don't remind ourselves often na meron pala tayong gagawin, and eto yung time na to, it's for study, it's for learning, we may forget the things na kailangan natin gawin. So, it's very important that we set a fixed time to engage in the coursework, lalo na if it was just given na walang magre-remind sa inyo. So, set a fixed time. Number 2, do not rush through your work. In some cases, distance learning courses can be more challenging when it comes to time and self-management. This is true because, well, according to my research, students often enroll in distance learning courses because they believe they are easy or can be completed faster than in-class courses. But, of course, hindi naman natin choice na mag-enroll sa online class or distance learning. But it's just because we should do this due to our crisis in the Philippines. So, while we may save the time traveling to and from class, whether you just walk to school or you commute or you ride your vehicles, you have your own vehicles before, but you should not count on finishing coursework more quickly or distance learning courses being easier because nakaka-save ka nga ng time dahil hindi ka nagta-travel. Pero kapag ayaw mo talagang gawin yung coursework mo kahit nung may school pa, Alam ko sinasabi to. Pero this is true ha. Like, baka isipin nyo na, ay marami akong oras na gawin to. So, namaya na yan, bukas na yan, next week na yan, matagal pa deadline. So, do not rush through your work. Remember na gawin na siya agad as soon as possible, if you can. That's why it's important to set a fixed time to engage in your coursework because this can happen. Procrastination. So, bawasan natin yan, lalo na nasa bahay lang tayo because we may forget na may gagawin pala tayo. That's it. Do not rush through your work. Number 3, take the time to ask questions and engage instructors. So, a good course will require the student to interact with instructors and or peers to collaborate and learn. So, instructors should require dynamic interactivity in a distance learning course. If there are teachers, professors, instructors, or school staff listening to this video or watching this video, I hope you take note of this, please. A good instructor will ensure that the students' no questions are welcomed and encouraged, okay? And if not, required. This is an important educational standard that should not be neglected. So, this tip pala is for the instructors, but also you students should know this, na it's important to ask questions because lalo na, yun nga, online class, hindi mo sila mapupuntahan sa faculty room to ask na, ma'am, gagawin po ba namin yung ganito? Paano po yung ganyan? And they also have their lives at home na hindi nyo sila pwedeng i-PM na kahit mga 10 PM na, midnight na, ma'am, paano po yung gagawin sa ganito? So, while you are still in class, take the time to already ask questions na para masagot na agad yung questions niya, okay? So, it's important to really listen. Number 4 is explore the technology being used in advance of having to use it. So, I'm gonna read the caption. Taking a little time up front to complete the appropriate technology orientation will save you a lot of time later and ensure that you understand when instructions are provided that require the use of the technology. So if you have to wait until the last minute, at least take time soon after the assignment is made to acquaint yourself with all that will need to be done. There's no worse feeling than being required to do something that you are prepared to do. And it can feel overwhelming, especially if you have a short amount of time to complete it. Distance learning courses, according to what I have researched, have historically high dropout rates often because students wait until the last minute to complete the assignment and then get frustrated with being behind. Sounds familiar. Seek out instructional videos or tutorials made available to you before doing your tasks. So, I think this applies to all because I have an experience of akala hindi ako nagpo-procrastinate, ginagawa ko rin yun, na I have to wait until the last minute bago ko gawin yung task na yun nga, pinagawa sa amin. And it's really frustrating because when parang inisip mo, madali lang yan, mamaya ko na gawin yan, bukas na yan, pag malapit na deadline, or ganyan, sa susunod na araw na, hanggang deadline na bukas, ayan, todo gawa-gawa ka dyan. But after you realize, shucks, ang tagal pala gawin neto, ang hirap pala neto, ang haba pala neto. So that's why this is very important to know na paano siya gawin, even if you have to put it off for some time. For example, after your teacher gave you the assignment already, i-check mo, titignan mo, for example, it's a file, i-click mo, titignan mo, and then you're gonna see na, even if you're just gonna read it, kahit hindi mo pa siya gagawin, na, ay, eto pala gagawin, kailangan ko pala ng pictures para ilagay dito sa file na to, ay, eto pala. So that you will understand already na, eto yung mga kailangan kong gawin para matapos yung homework na yon. So basically, you will already think about the time that you need to lend or you need to set para magawa yung homework or assignment na yon. And wag niyo i-open yung homework or assignment na yon just a day before kasi baka mamaya magulat kayo na ito pala yung mga gagawin, ang dami pala, and then you're gonna rush through it, hindi magagawa yung best nyo. So it's very important na yun, tips kung magpo-procrastinate ka. That's why it's important na gawin na agad. Guilty. Number 5 is, if in a collaborative environment, choose your colleagues or project partners carefully. So if you have an option of choosing your colleagues in a cooperative group, don't leave this choice to chance. Because when it comes to project production, you'll be glad that you have a team full of those who will actually contribute to the project as opposed to those who may be freeloaders. I don't think if I need to emphasize more about this. Freeloaders means na, yun nga, hindi sila gumagawa sa group. But I know that you're already aware of group works because maybe all of us naman have experiences on doing group works. And it's important that we know the people that we are working with. And dahil lahat kayo na nakikinig at nanonood ng video na to, we need to understand na every one of us have tasks at home as well, have things to do. Ayun, so let's understand na we need to cooperate with each other so that we can do things better. O, diba, rhyme? But, I mean, I'm serious about this kasi it's not easy for people to complete a task, lalo na kapag group work siya, pero hindi tayo lahat yung tumutulong. So, we need to understand about it na hindi lang grades natin to, grades din nila. That's why it's a big pressure for people who do it. And, yun. Anong kailangan? Magtulungan. Sabi nga ng Wonder Pets. Number 6. Use alarms and calendars to ensure your benchmarks and course milestones are met. Good organizational skills is one of the keys to being successful in distance learning courses. Once you get your syllabus or course plans, record all important dates on your calendar. Since we are constantly using our phones, no, parang hindi lang naman siguro ako yung palaging hawak yung phone ko. I admit to it. Pero, that's why we already have our gadget. Let's maximize our use for it. If we already start with our distance learning or online classes, make sure that you mark your calendar sa phone, or kung meron kayong calendar, ba't ako tumingin doon kasi andun yung whiteboard ko. Mark your calendars, write down your deadlines. Yun nga, because you already have your phones in your hands. Just as soon as you see your deadlines or yung may kailangan kayong gawin, write it down and then write or mark your calendars na eto yung kailangan ko i-submit, eto yung deadline ng ganitong task namin. It's really important na makita mo minsan kapag, kunwari, may nagdagdag na naman ng bagong assignment. If you put it on your calendar na naman, you will see, hala, ito pala yung gagawin ko dapat this Friday. Ito yung kailangan ko i-submit sa Monday. So, you're gonna see it already kasi nasa phone mo na. And, yun nga, yun yung mga advantages ng phone natin because they are already at our hands, at our reach, na hindi natin kailangan pumunta sa kalendaryo, ay, ito yung gagawin ko. Ayan, andyan na sa phone nyo, gamitin nyo na yan, maximize it, and, yun. Make sure to mark your calendars. It's important. Last is, social learners, be aware. Because distance learning courses historically are deficient of social learning opportunities because of the distance and time separation. Understandable naman siguro no na we don't have interaction with our teachers, with our classmates, and I know that if you are a person who needs social interaction in the learning process, it's gonna be difficult or challenging for you to adjust, especially when you learn kapag andyan kayo, magkaharap kayo ng teacher nyo. It's a mind process. It's possible and it's true for some people na they can learn more if they are interacting physically or face-to-face with people na they have in their schools or classrooms. So, I hope na hindi ito masyadong maka-apekto sa mga social learners na andyan na nakikinig. If you think that you are a social learner, na yun nga, natututo kayo kapag may kasama kayo or nandyan sila sa paligid nyo, I hope na this will not affect your learning process that much and that we can use this tool or platform to actually widen our horizons on how we are going to learn even though di tayo nasa regular or traditional na classroom setting. So that's it for our 7D or our 7 distance learning tips. And here's a bonus for us all. Please reserve a notebook or a pad of paper or your electronic notes or memos sa phone or laptops, because this is really important that we take down daily reminders, yung mga sinasabi ng teachers, professors natin, so that we will not forget anything. Kahit sabihin pa natin na sharp yung memory natin, it's really important that we see na ito pala yung listahan ng mga kailangan kong gawin. And sometimes when the list is very long, sabihin natin, shocks, ang overwhelming, ang dami kailangan gawin. But it's a good, there's actually a psychological trick in our mind na once we cross out, parang fulfilling, may nagawa na ako finally, kahit maliliit na task lang. So, it's really important that we do this for ourselves during this distance learning courses that we are going to take. So, I hope that everyone will do this. Jot down your daily reminders. So now we've come to the end of our learning video. Thank you so much for bearing with me. So just to recap, we have learned about the definition of distance learning, the differences between online learning and distance learning, and the 4 types of distance learning. And lastly, the practical tips on how we can achieve success as a distance learning student. And again, I'm gonna reiterate, I'm not an expert in distance learning, and I'm also new to this kind of stuff, the distance learning stuff. I hope I research enough for this video and that it can help us all to really excel in our studies even though we're only at home. And I hope that you're all well and safe, you're all healthy, and take care of yourselves, Take time to take care of yourselves, especially that we are entering a new season of our lives while we are having distance learning and online classes just at home. Thank you very much for bearing with me and for listening. If you are still listening or watching this video, good job, or thank you very much. This is an accomplishment na may nakikinig pa. That's all. Again, thank you very much. I hope we all learned a lot from this video. Bye!